12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
All right. Good morning to the West Coast, and good afternoon to the East Coast. This is the Reprint, and I am editor-in-chief of Lenox and Parker, Christal Jordan Jennings, along with my co-host, Victor Flavius.
What's happening, Christal? Good afternoon to the East Coast. What's up to the West Coast? What's happening? It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. I like your new background. Looks very nice.
Appreciate it. Yeah, just trying to do something a little bit different. Just trying. It's still improvements. Trust me. This is a fluid thing. All right. What Christal got going on, what I got going on, this whole thing with what we got going on, it's still fluid. It's moving in real time. This is not a set studio. This is real time. It's not about what we have.
Changing as my lighting is off today, but it's okay. It is okay. It is okay. It is okay. Hey, Tammy. Good afternoon, Tammy.
Good afternoon, Tammy.
Welcome. We are blessed to be here.
Yes.
Blessed to be here. So that's where I'm gonna stay. I'm not gonna be frustrated with the fact that my light looks crazy right now. I'm just gonna focus on the fact that we are here. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice. And
amen.
Amen. There we go. Get myself into a better space.
There you go.
I got to start this morning by just saying I was so heartbroken yesterday to hear that Dolly Parton had passed, and immediately just started writing because I was just in Nashville, you guys know, a few weeks ago for the kickoff of It's Iconic tour with TLC, Salt and Pepper and Vogue. And when I was in Nashville, I went to see Dolly's new hotel. I think it's called the Songtellers Hotel. It's not fixed yet, but it's being built. And it's just this this beautiful building with iridescent side, a whole iridescent side. It's just beautiful. And it's funny because it actually made me think of thank you, Crystal Nicole. Actually, I thought of you because the building, Dolly Parton's building, was iridescent on the side, which always makes me think of "I Got Love All Over Me," the song that Crystal Nicole wrote, and Monica, for Monica to sing. But beautiful song, and when I see iridescent, it makes me think of that. But Dolly Parton's life was just such a beautiful life, well lived. 80 years old, and I wrote an article that was like 10 reasons why this little brown skinned girl growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, fell in love with Dolly Parton. And it appears that most people had the same appreciation, for her. She was transcended race, I think gender, culture. She just was an amazing person, right? And 80 years old. I think Tammy said they should rename a library in her honor. I think, do you know that there's so much that she did with her 80 years. And one of her big charities, things that she was very, very dedicated to, was literacy. And it wasn't just that she picked a charity that sounded good. It was because her father couldn't read. And so she was committed to making sure that young people had the opportunity to learn to read and to explore that side. And so she had donated millions of books and millions of dollars into child literacy, also into different. I mean, it's ongoing what she had, what she's done with her life. I remember last year, because I do a segment for Fox 5 here in Atlanta, and I talked about her last year when she announced that she was not going to be going out on her tour at the time that people were expecting her to. When she said that she was going to be back, she was looking to push it back to this year. We know that she lost her husband, her longtime husband, Carl, last year. And so I saw this very beautiful meme of like on Instagram of her, you know, in heaven and her husband welcoming her there. But I think her passing touched all of us. She is a country legend whose influence went far beyond country music, of course. The death of Dolly Parton at 80 is much bigger than the passing of a country singer. She passed August 25th after what her representatives described as a brief battle with cancer. She was one of the most recognizable entertainers in the world with a career spanning music, film, television, business, and philanthropy. She wrote and recorded some of the country music's most enduring songs, including Jolene, 9 to 5, and of course, I Will Always Love You, that became familiar with a Black audience after Whitney Houston did a amazing recording of it in 1992. Tammy says her husband died in March. For some reason I thought it was the end of last year, but that is even more well, it's not heartbreaking. It's actually, in a way, it's beautiful, I think. There she is with Cher. We know that she collaborated with, I think there's a picture of her earlier with Sabrina Carpenter. There she is on 106 in Park with Queen Latifah, yes, and Roxy and Terrence J. Look at her and Oprah there. Wow, that is an amazing photo. Oh, beautiful. Keke Palmer, young Keke Palmer, Queen Latifah, just an amazing example. And you know what's crazy about Dolly Parton? She was in so many things. So if you go to the grocery store, she has a line of cake mixes and frostings. And you know, Victor and I share a love of cake.
Of course. And donuts.
And donuts, yes. But she has a banana pudding cake.
Ooh, I gotta try that.
It's the mix, and it has the blonde cartoon version of her on it, and she has frosting to go along, complimentary to go along with her cakes. And then she has this hotel. She did a collaboration with Levi's jeans recently, with country music, you know, especially when this collaboration with Beyonce and there was this resurgence of country and Western fashion. She has a line with Levi's. And then, you know, when I went with my husband's a truck driver, and I got on went with him, you know, on one of his routes, and we pull up to a truck stop, and Dolly Parton has truck stops.
Listen, Dolly Parton to me, there's a feedback on me. Sorry. Dolly Parton to me is the type of icon that we used to have, like Michael Jackson and Prince, Whitney Houston, Elton John, like bring back the days when icons really meant something. And when people actually use their stardom and their money and wealth for good, like Dolly Parton stayed in her lane. I've never heard a bad story about Dolly Parton ever. She did movies. She did a movie. She came out. She did her country stuff. She did philanthropy stuff. She, like you said, the books. She was everywhere, but she was a good person. I haven't heard any bad stories about her, like any like type of negative press about Dolly Parton, other than she's Dolly Parton. And it seems like every time she does interviews, she's always kind and nice. I never heard anything in the Black community where like Dolly Parton used the N-word, or she slipped up, or she did this, or she was mean, or none of that. You know what I'm saying? She was a real good person, and from what I've seen, and you know, rest in peace to her and her career. I mean, imagine being 80 years old, and like we talked about with Keith on Monday, imagine being 80 years old and living in your purpose your whole time. She lived in her purpose, her whole career. Like she lived in her, you know, so.
You know, I put 10 reasons, and one of those reasons that I really appreciated her, because I was trying to like think about all this as I was writing. She was a beautiful woman who was very comfortable in her in her beauty and expressing herself, but yet she was one of those rare beautiful women that doesn't make other women seem less than. Her beauty was never the type that would make up, because a lot of times you'll see a woman who is beautiful and it feels very exclusive, like I could never, we could, but it was almost like she celebrated being a woman, and
Yeah.
she didn't take herself too seriously. She would make fun, but she also it was very inclusive of every woman, right?
Yeah.
So she was not the type of woman that you would look at and think, oh, she's beautiful, and feel bad about yourself. She was always sewing into, if you listen to her interviews, it's always about confidence and believing in yourself and pushing forward. There's a video of her just from a few days ago that played at Dollyland. I think we have that video, right?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Okay. So this video, well, first of all, but while Victor's pulling that up, I love the fact that her nephew made a social media video, put out the video on social media so that fans wouldn't have to be wondering what had happened, if it was true or not. And because we see a lot of times we learn about celebrities' deaths in ways that are not necessarily probably what they would have wished. But her nephew said that he had promised her that he would do this years ago. So this was already in place. And so he was able to speak from a place of, even though you could tell he was definitely going to miss his aunt, she obviously lived a beautiful life and wanted to make sure her fans heard from her from an intimate place. Her nephew was her personal bodyguard. And
wow, that's interesting.
But his father had been that before he was. So
he
took
wow.
his father's position. Just a beautiful, beautiful story. But I would love for us to look at this clip. And this was just a few days before she passed away.
Before all my fans that I've had a few little health issues, and sometimes I get a little dizzy and I get dehydrated. And I'm dehydrated. And so my national doctors kind of clipped my wings saying, you ain't traveling this week. So I guess if your doctor tells you you ain't traveling this week, you ain't traveling this week. But I like to keep all of you in the loop, like I said I would, on everything. So all is going well on the medical end of things, and I continue working away on all of our other projects, like the Songteller Hotel and my Life of Many Colors Museum here in Nashville, and my Broadway musical in New York, and that has taken a lot of time. But let's just say I've talked enough about me, don't you think? Eugene, won't you talk about me for a while? I'm just kidding. I do want you to tell everybody about our great new ride, Night Flight Expedition, and you have fun, and I will see you down the road.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
Another interview that she did where she was just encouraging, people listening to have confidence in yourself. Just a beautiful life well lived. Blondie says that I heard she made a song to be released like 30 years from now. Wow. Oh,
wow. I got a video I want to play also just to show you the type of love she had across the world. This is in England. The print King posted this on their Twitter page. And that was done by the royal family. So it just goes to show how much influence she had across the pond, like people would say, across the world. I mean, I'm sure people in Africa, and it's weird because it's not a black or white thing. No, we cover mostly in our community, but she affected many of us in a way because back in the 80s and early 90s, entertainment was viewed differently, and our celebrities and our icons were viewed differently. And Dolly Parton was one of those that transcended, like you said earlier, she transcended different genders and lines and parties, and she was a people's person. And I always say, how you start is how you end. And she started beautifully and she ended beautifully. She started with respect and she ended with respect. She started with people and she ended with people. And it goes to show, when a person passes away and tributes pour in across the world, it just shows you the type of love that people had for her. So rest in peace, Dolly Parton.
Yeah, rest in peace to Dolly Parton, and may her example continue to inspire us. My daughter and I were planning to go to Dollyland this summer, and we ended up not able to go because she had to get back on the ship earlier than she had initially thought. And I just texted her yesterday, and I was like, we got to still go to Dollyland, and stay at the museum and, just experience that. But what a beautiful life well lived. We've had so much loss in I guess the celebrity entertainers world lately. There's an article on the site about Hayden Panettiere, and it's written by our senior editor Brenda Alexander. And I love her perspective because she's millennial, and so she grew up watching Hayden, and she also could relate to some of her. They both had children. Brenda became a mother about 4 years ago, and so hearing some of the struggles that she had, she wrote it's a heartfelt op-ed piece, and I would just encourage you guys to visit the site and read that. Again, Hayden was someone that I think we definitely celebrate minorities and people of color, but we also just celebrate talent and beautiful spirits. And there's no exclusivity when it comes to Lenox and Parker. We're inclusive of all. So we can celebrate, but be inclusive of all. So I would encourage you guys to read that beautiful piece that Brenda did. She reached out to me immediately after hearing about Hayden's passing and said she wanted to write something in honor of her because of, how she viewed it and what it meant, what, Hayden's example had meant to her. And so I encourage you guys to visit the site and read that. We also know that we talked about the fact that Michael Wright.
Hold on 1 second. This is the post that we're talking about.
Yes, there it is.
For Hayden,
Hayden Panettiere, grappling with celebrity deaths when you feel the weight of their struggles. And one of the things that Hayden had been very, very candid about was mental health, her struggles with mental health, to the point where even after becoming a mother, she had decided she was not in a mental space to care for her daughter at the time, or for her child. I'm not sure if it was a boy or girl at the time. And I think that is anyone who is a mother knows that is a huge sacrifice. To be willing to acknowledge that you are not in the space to parent is got to be a very difficult thing, but not just but it really shows a mother's love, because for her to want to make sure that her daughter did not suffer from what her mother was dealing with was beautiful. So I would encourage you guys, again, please visit the site, leave a comment if you have a chance to read that piece, because it's really beautiful. And like I said, it's from the perspective of a 30-something that is also a young mother and grew up, watching Hayden. I also wanted us to spend a few moments talking about Michael Wright. We know that he passed. We learned that he had passed last week at 70 years old. Another long life. He was probably the most famous for his role as Eddie King in the Five Heartbeats. I don't know if there's a bigger Black culture movie.
That movie is my movie of all time. New Edition is my group, and The Five Heartbeats is my movie. I mean, I love romantic rom-coms. I love romantic movies. I love dramas and Spike Lee joints and all that sort of stuff. But The Five Heartbeats is, you have the Michael Jackson movie. You got the Jacksons. You got the Temptations. You got all these the New Edition story. But The Five Heartbeats is the movie that was made. It's almost like the Ten Commandments. Plays every year, and I mean, that movie is such a iconic movie because it walks you through the whole epic of a group from the time they were young boys to grown men till after, success and fame. And he plays such a great character. He will be missed. It's
that character. I think when I think about when actors, pass and musicians, right?
Yeah.
Because their art is something that it never dies. So that movie will be watched every year like it always is. I think that's probably the most quoted Black movie ever. People will, we was just sitting around and someone will say a line from the Five Heartbeats. Everybody knows.
I do it all the time. Yep.
Yeah, and everybody laughs. It's just a cultural thing, and I think I cannot imagine. I'm a writer for books and definitely believe in God for this television series I've been working really diligently on. But when you create something that has the ability to live and represent you long after your physicality is gone,
yeah,
I think that's a special gift.
One of my favorite lines in that movie is when I tell people all the time, even in business, listen, my office hours are from 5 p.m. from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a funny part in the movie, but I love that movie.
Yeah, it's everybody. I think if you guys are listening to this via Spotify, you're listening on Instagram, and those of you here with us on YouTube, please leave your favorite quote from the Five Heartbeats in honor of Michael. Just because it's a beautiful thing and it makes you smile. I think the same thing with Dolly Parton. When you hear 9 to 5, when you hear any of her songs, it makes you smile.
Yeah,
and it lets you know that they're still there.
I also wanted to add about Dolly Parton. She came up in a time where women weren't like big in media. I mean, there were, but not, in a more predominantly male-driven time period, And country music was big, but not as popular as like certain, like the Michael Jackson or Prince or Madonna, So just wanted to add that.
She did, and she also. I just want to address the elephant in the room. For her to come up at that time when women were definitely, didn't have the same opportunities, specifically without being co-signed or endorsed by a male, right?
Yeah.
And then also she had a very voluptuous, figure and celebrated, did not hide that. In fact, she exaggerated it, and yet she was still taken seriously, because she took herself seriously. And I think she showed women that you can be sexy, but you don't have to be disrespected. If you respect yourself,
true.
Regardless of how you dress or how much makeup you wear or, how big your girls are, you can still carry yourself with respect and make it about business. And it's not about, the sensuality, of my image. I can do both. I can be a woman in all frames. I can be a woman and be sensual, sensuous, lean into my femininity, but still be a businesswoman and still take care of business. And I think that is a beautiful example for women. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Example. This has just been a difficult time. I want to just give a thanks to Keith L. Brown that shared time with us, shared space with us on Monday. Monday was an amazing show. And I think a lot of it was because Keith brought a great energy to the show. Just letting you guys know, he's going to be joining us every other Monday right here at the Reprint, just bringing some additional nuggets of inspiration and motivation. And, kind of talking about these things, because since social media allows us to all kind of digest news together, I think it's important that we do that from a perspective that is positive and find ways to.
And healthy, yeah.
And healthy, right. Absolutely. Yeah. So Keith is going to be our
resident. Our resident. Yeah, he was. No, it was pretty good. The episode we did on Monday was very, very, very. I mean, it had so many nuggets. I mean, it was so. If you guys get a chance, please go back on Spotify, on Apple Music, on I forget the other platforms, but
All the
YouTube,
things. Yes.
and please listen to it. And Keith says a lot of things that wisdom. I mean, it was really good. The conversation was really good. Yeah.
It was. We were talking about in relation to our children.
Yeah.
This next story is also in kind of connects with children. And I do think we probably need to have a therapist come on eventually and talk about some of these things. But I want to go back to the Sydney Starr case. Sydney Starr was denied bond in the child sex assault case. Reality television personality Sydney Starr Favors, known publicly as Cindy Starr, and for appearances on Love and Hip Hop, Baddies, and other television programs, will remain in the Fulton County Jail after a judge denied bond on yesterday, August 25th. Favors is facing multiple felony charges stemming from allegations involving a minor, including aggravated child molestation, sexual battery against a child under 16, and sodomy. She has not been convicted of the charges. The case is particularly serious because prosecutors are alleging sexual conduct involving a child. I think it was a 13 or 14-year-old boy. During the bond hearing, the alleged victim's mother spoke to the court about the impact the situation has had on her child. Reports identify the alleged victim as a 13-year-old boy that was attending football camp. The judge ultimately determined that Favors would remain jailed without bond as the criminal case moves forward. One of the things that was brought up in this case is that the judge felt like Sydney's social media popularity rendered her a flight risk, and that could, that there could be some way or something that may tamper with her being held accountable for her case. What do you think about that? Do you think that her being denied bond?
I'm not. First of all, I'm not understanding the situation. So she was allegedly messing with a 13-year-old.
Yes.
She is supposed to be this reality superstar who's around all these different people.
She's
and a 13-year-old.
A trans
Okay.
woman
Okay.
that was for some reason in a hotel. Maybe she was staying at the hotel.
Right.
With, and there were some young people there for, I think, a football convention.
Okay.
But 13-year-old and friends, and allegedly she started to have a conversation and coerced the young man and I think a friend to come to her room, where she allegedly attempted to perform essay, and so the boy was able to get away.
Yeah.
And he was allegedly offered $40 to be quiet by Sydney. This is all the information that came out a few weeks ago. She offered him $40 not to tell after he was able to break away and get back downstairs. He did not accept the money. He was traumatized. Allegedly, the young man did not understand that this was a man, right? Because he was under the impression that it was a woman. And so I do, first of all, 13 years old is, I don't care anything under 18, but 13 is really, really young. And that child is at the center of this.
Traumatized, yeah.
Traumatizing, right? I actually agree that with the judge's decision.
No, I agree. I just wanted to get the whole, the whole scope of the story, because it doesn't, and the reason why I asked that question, because this can't be the first time this has happened. Usually this person got caught this time, because even having to think about what they did in the hotel room and to plan it out and to whatever the case was and for it to happen, it must have happened before. And there's a saying that goes, hurt people hurt people. So a lot of times people are traumatized and they traumatize other people. I think the judge did the right thing by revoking bail and holding him or her in custody, because this is this is not even this is a minor, a child, a 13-year-old. If this was a girl, it would be just as bad. But 16, 17, 18 years old, this is not good.
Right.
For this adult person, I don't know how old she is, Sydney Starr is, but it's a tragedy, because this young person now has been traumatized as a young man. I don't know what lured what lured him into the hotel room. Maybe he's thinking this is a girl.
Sydney did. And
well, I know, but
at 13, he's thinking this older woman is, interested in him. 13 is really a baby, though. You know what I mean?
It is, baby. Yeah.
And there's no way. My thing with this is, if the child was 16 or 17, then there could be a possibility that you did not know that they were underage. There are some 16 or 17-year-olds that may present.
Even still, if you see a child
but at 13, no. Yeah. The body is a child. It is not. There is no mercy in my heart for someone that would attempt to sodomize and essay a child. There's just, I don't have any type of I just don't have any.
Yeah, it's a gray area, because in the sense of, besides a person being a 13-year-old child, because
Sydney Starr is 37 years old, according to
37 years old. You know who you are and what you are about, and you are, even if this was a 20-year-old person or 21-year-old person, it's still under the pretense of this person knows what you're about and who you are. And the fact that you paid $40 to hush this person up,
that makes it more. That makes you more guilty. You knew what you were doing, and then to offer $40. Let me ask you a question. I want to ask the people watching as well, and those listening as well. Funky Doniva, I think probably one of the smartest and sharpest YouTube commentators, been doing this for a very long time, made a statement shortly after this. Is that he felt empathy and he felt sorry for people that were attracted to children, and a lot of people had a response to that. He actually said he knew that he was going to get backlash for that. It was very strange for him to make that statement right after that. But I also was disgusted by that, because he was offering empathy and basically saying that, I feel sorry. These people can't help it, right? You can't help it if you wake up and you're attracted to children. And I guess my thing is, there are all types of. I mean, if that's the case, then you could feel empathy for someone that has a desire to unalive people, right?
Yep, exactly, right. Yeah,
it's like you could feel sorry for a serial killer, because that a lot of times. That is those seeds
desire,
there's desires there from a very young age, and they just there's a documentary on Netflix that shows, it's like it shows dating disasters, but one of the guys had unalived several women. That was a desire that he had to do that, right? So talking about feeling sorry for people because of desires, that can go beyond child molestation. It can go to murder and rape and whatever. So I just wondered what are your thoughts on someone saying that they have empathy and they feel sorry for someone that may just genetically be attracted to children?
What's their agenda, first of all? The person that feels empathy, because first of all, this goes against nature. This goes against nature in general. I mean, across the board. Forget social media, forget celebrities, forget whatever. This goes against nature, right? And I don't condone it. I think it's wrong. If you have any type of addiction or problem or issue or whatever that society is calling normal now, that person needs to seek help, whether it be with the use of some type of medication or and therapy, because that's what That's what it is. I mean, you're talking about harming a person
Mhm.
or harming a
Just
child. I mean, even if it's an adult, even if you're talking about two consenting adults, you're still talking about harming somebody else's life because, unless you believe in that type of lifestyle and you're geared towards that, that's one story. But again, you're talking about children here, and this person saying that he feels empathy for the person that's gonna harm a child. I don't agree with that. I think it's wrong. It goes against nature, and it goes against the laws of the land. It goes against nature. It goes against everything. So I don't have empathy because you're talking about hurting somebody, harming somebody. That person needs help. That person needs help.
That they do,
and that person who said that needs help as well.
Right. I think that because you got to realize what that does to a child. A child is never the same after being a victim of a child predator, and I think that a lot of times I do have empathy for people who were preyed upon themselves, right? Because as you said, hurt people. So a lot of people that are child predators were the victim of that when they were younger, right? So I do understand having empathy for them in that regard, but I think that we have to realize that this is a sickness that is not we cannot try to attempt to normalize it. And what I've been told, and this may not be true, and I'm open to someone educating me if they know that there's something that I'm saying that's incorrect. But what I was told is that this idea of LGBTQIA+, the plus was to cover people who were just naturally attracted to children.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have a huge problem with that because that is a deviant illness and it is a crime. Who two consenting adults choose to lay down with is not a crime. That is a preference that is perfectly fine, and you can do whatever you want to do. It's none of my business, right? But what I do have a problem with is when you attempt to destroy a child's life because of your own, illness. So I think we have to be very careful not to normalize situations like this. And I think the judge denying bail shows the severity of what happened. And I am in full support of the judge's decision to deny bond.
I mean, even if it's even though it's morally wrong from what Starr did, it's legally wrong from what Starr did because you're talking about a minor. So even if the judge forgets the moral part of it and sticks with the law says a minor.
Well,
you can't mess with a minor. So
part of it is not really a part of the court
system. I know,
it's
but I'm saying,
illegal. I guess for what we talk about, we do speak about the moral part, but for the court, we have to only go by the legals, the legalities of it, and that is a crime. And I think because of the popularity, I think people often feel empathy, sympathy for people that they're familiar with, for people that are very popular, right? And everyone has different feelings. So for me, I definitely felt empathy for Bill Cosby, and a lot of people had a problem with that. I know there are many people that feel empathy with R. Kelly, and then there are people that feel empathy towards Diddy.
My thing is when it comes to R. Kelly, Diddy, and Bill Cosby and people like that, even Starr, is like you're an adult and you have access to adults. Like, why not deal with adults? Why not do it fairly? Diddy, R. Kelly, you have access to grown women. You have access to people that,
Bill Cosby, it was not an age thing. It was a...
and even Bill Cosby, you have money and you have access to grown people who would consent to...
Were able to consent.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, what I'm saying is, I don't care what the vice is. I'm saying that you're in a position where you have access to people and money to people that would consent on whatever level. Would it be Diddy partying, R. Kelly with the women, Bill Cosby with the women, Starr with the with his or her preferences? Like, you have access to people. So why try to cheat the system and cheat the code? So that's where you get the wrong part. And it's like, okay, you want to live your lifestyle, do whatever you want, but do it right if that's what you want to do. But I don't agree with that person having sympathy, because it takes away that child's innocence and it ruins a
I
person's
think
life forever.
if there's anybody we should have empathy
Yeah.
for, it should be the child.
There's a child. Yeah.
Mhm. It should be the children that have been, and there are so many children who are now adults that have gone through that and have not spoken out, have not been public, and
Yeah.
have dealt with that dark secret, that trauma that they've never really been able to heal from. So I don't have any empathy for the person who commits the infraction. I do have empathy for the children and the people that are dealing with it, because I know far more have dealt with it and not been able to. But think about what would have happened if that young man was not able to get loose, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't able to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Think about if it happened before, because it's hard for me to believe that you would be bold enough to approach a 13-year-old in a public place like a hotel and take him to your room and then try to keep him there. It's hard for me to believe that was the first time you did that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I don't believe that was the first time. I believe that this is something that you've gotten away with before. Thank God you're not getting away with it anymore. And I think that I would be fine if we don't ever hear from him again. His family, his or her family, was there and said that the allegations are false, but there's just so much evidence, and we'll the case will go to trial. But I'm fine with her remaining there.
I mean, just the fact that if you saw high schoolers, if you saw schools, just school, elementary, middle, high school, that's a problem right there. College, I mean, even that is still a problem. You're 30-something years old and you're targeting young people. I mean, it's not good.
Stay your grown behind.
Yeah.
In jail
and
go to trial, and then hopefully you'll go to.
And we've seen over the years issues with grown people getting tricked into sleeping with grown people, and then finding out that they weren't who they say they were, and then either end up, dead or legally, in trouble. So we've seen that issue in the past few years. Now you have a person targeting the child. So I mean, and the child is way younger and don't understand, and I don't keep him in jail.
I can't imagine, because that kid, I hope the child's identity is not released.
I know, right? Because it ruins his life.
It ruins his life. Before we move any further, there's more bad news. Unfortunately, in Florida, there was a mother and 2-year-old daughter that were killed by lightning. On Sunday, August 23rd, 31-year-old Kenya Glasgow and her 2-year-old daughter Kennedy were struck by lightning in Marquette, Florida during a thunderstorm. Authorities say the mother and daughter were near the vehicle when the lightning strike occurred. Both were transported for medical treatment, but ultimately died. Witnesses described hearing an enormous blast and then discovering the mother and child near the vehicle. Cameron Glasgow, the child's father and Kenya's husband, is now dealing with the loss of his wife and his young daughter. A neighbor who witnessed the aftermath describes the scene as something he never wanted to see. Now, lightning deaths are rare, although thunderstorms are common in Florida. The Washington Post reported that Florida averages about 7 lightning fatalities a year, which is actually more than I realized. And this was already the state's 4th lightning death in 2026. At the time that this happened. Wow.
I have a short video that I want to play with the husband.
Father.
Pull it up real quick. Yeah, father, yeah. Let me find it. 1 second. Here we go.
Yeah, I saw that this morning and I thought, wow, it's because I think we've all been having a lot more thunderstorms, and the weather has just been crazy. I think from the heat to the constant storms, and we've actually had a lot more like lightning here, because my mother was downstairs in my house and she's like, lightning came in, and I was like, oh, yeah, it came in, and thankfully nothing was hurt. But I think I just pray that sweet 2-year-old and her beautiful mom are with the Lord, and hopefully there'll be some outpouring of
support.
Support for the husband.
Here's the video right now.
Been 4 years married, November 21st, so it's extremely hard.
Cameron Glasgow is in tears over the sudden loss of his wife and 2-year-old daughter. 31-year-old Kenya Glasgow and 2-year-old Kennedy were struck by lightning outside of a relative's home in Margate. Both were rushed to the hospital where they died. Glasgow says the family had just arrived for dinner at his aunt's house when the weather got bad and they tried to rush inside the house, but they didn't make it.
But I'll be okay because I have to be, because I have another beautiful daughter that's inside there. But for her to lose her twin sister,
oh my God.
Words can't describe that feeling. Because I know she can't even fathom it right now, that she lost her best friend.
I know.
It's it's messed up because I remember being in Miami one time. This was like maybe 15 years ago, and it was I was at family friend's home, and it was maybe like 85 degrees out, and it's like clear skies, blue skies, and all of a sudden lightning. I'm like, what in the world is this? How is it lightning and clear skies? No clouds in sight, lightning and thunder. And I was just like, this is different. This is a whole different ball game. I've never seen lightning and thunder on a blue skies, 85 degrees outside. So yeah, that was unfortunate. And now he has to raise his daughter. We never know when our time is up. We never know when it's our last time. I'm sure the mom, going to a family's house for dinner, didn't think that stepping outside in a rainstorm would end her life, and her husband as well too. Such tragedy we've seen across the world: landslides, mudslides. I mean, we've seen hurricanes, and this is just a time of it's just despair across the world, and we have to live every day with purpose.
Send prayers to that young man. I saw another video where he was talking about his wife, and he said that besides the men that helped raise him, she was his hero because she was so kind to everyone, and he was so in love with her. It was just heartbreaking, but I do think because I'm thankful that he has his baby girl there. I think during times of loss that are so great you can't really articulate it, that love from his little baby girl will pull him through, and hopefully there'll be comfort for each other, because I can't even imagine. And I can't imagine, I know a lot of twins. I cannot imagine a twin losing another one at that sweet young age. That's going to be a part of who she is for the rest of her life. Tammy says, I'm having repairs done on my home now from wind and water damages from a storm. We had to get another roof for our house, but my mom told me that she was in the kitchen and lightning came in. Ooh. And I just thought, but because it's just weird, we don't usually get that type of thing here, but we don't know.
It's changing across the world. Yeah, weather's changing across the world.
There's definitely changing, but I guess if I were to think about, and I'm asking you, Victor, and everyone that's watching with us, be it Instagram or YouTube or listening, on another platform, when I hear things like this, you hear about this young woman and her baby passing, their life is valuable, no matter if it's this young woman or if it's Dolly Parton, if it's Michael Wright, or if it's the person around the block, right? Yeah. When first of all, it lets us know that our mortality is not in our hands. And then second, I think it reminds me to live with intention and purpose, and to try to be as good as I can to people that I have the ability to do. It's hard to hear things like that. It's hard to watch that man, you could feel, just listening to him, you could feel how broken he is. But I think when we hear things like that, it is specifically for us to take something from it. What do you take, from these type of tragedies?
Love those close to you every single day. Just focus on the day. Like a husband losing his wife and his daughter. I mean, you invest so much time into a person, and we just never know when like I say, our last minute is. Sometimes I think about when my kids go out. I think about my son and daughter. We always say, "I love you." Be safe when you're driving. You never know when your last moment will be. And so my takeaway is spend every moment with your loved one, telling them you love them and hugging them and being there for them, and forget stuff that stresses you out. I go through it with my kids and wife sometimes, but in reality, I had to look at these things as gifts that God's given us, and we can't take a day, for granted,
It also reminds me like what's important.
Yeah.
And so speaking of what's important, Dennis, the fact that my lighting is off, it's not really important right now.
Dennis,
I'm
what?
like, your lighting is messed up. I know. I can see it. I'm not stupid. I can see the lighting doesn't look the same, Dennis, but thank you. But no, it reminds me just to keep the main thing, and what's most important. And for me,
Yeah.
I have gone through a lot, as we all have, but I think that, a lot of times we can be distracted and think that things are important that really aren't, being frustrated over certain things. I've been very frustrated this year about some work things, and, you and I trying to figure this out and make this platform as great as it can be. But the reality is the most important thing is, if today God said, Christal, it is time for you to come home.
Yeah.
How far I've gotten in my career would not be the most important thing.
Would not be. No.
Yeah, it would not be. And I think I just want to remind everybody about that. Like, it's not a lot of the things that we are over concerned with and distracted
Not
by
really, yeah.
and focused on really are not the most important things. The most important things are how you make people feel, and making sure that you don't leave this earth with any love inside, that you've given out as much as you possibly can. Dennis says, don't be morbid, but today's conversation was morbid. We lost a lot of people. And I just want to pull something from that's not morbid, which is that, as long as you are living with intention and purpose and in love, your life is not without merit. So
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And thank you, Dennis, for who is texting somebody when they know that they're on. And I'm sorry, because people on Spotify don't need to hear what's coming into my phone.
Hey, this is live. This is live, and we are not. This is not scripted. This is not reality TV. This is real live. This is how we do it on the Reprint.
This is how we do. Let's go to our Black business of the day. Because as you guys know, if you watch the Reprint, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we celebrate a Black business, which means we are not just doing this during February. We're not doing this during certain times of the year. This is what we do on a consistent basis. I think in order for our communities to move to the next level, and for us all to feel the impact, we have to support each other on a regular basis. And so today's Black business of the day is a beauty line, Juvia's Place, which I absolutely love because it is for women of color, but it's just brushed and bronze pigment, 30 pigmented shades inspired by an aromatic world of color, paired with all coffee and chocolate. I love this. And for those of you that know, I don't necessarily think, let me just say this, a lot of times people think, oh, why do things always have to be Black? Why does there have to be a Black this and a Black that and a Black this? The reason that we need makeup lines that are specifically for women of color is because our tones are so very different. And as a kid that grew up, for the most part, in Oklahoma, there was never a shade that fit me. Right. And so I love the fact that we do have these lines that come out, and they're specific, catering to all the different shades of caramel, bronze, chocolate, cafe au lait, all the different shades that make up, women of color. So that's why it's not that you're trying to, have something that's different than everything else. If we could have used CoverGirl and Maybelline, we would have. But
we would have,
for years,
you would have,
And then when we go in the sun, then our Edna says our tones are rich. Yes, and so Juvia's Place, specifically, there's 13 pigmented shades specifically for women of color, and so that's why we encourage you guys to go to the website, to juviasplace.com, and you'll be able to see this 13 pigmented matte metallic crease proof shadows. So all these different colors, they're created to complement skin, melanated skin. And I think that's even the lip liner. Those are my favorite. I'm a sucker for lip liner and lip gloss, of course, foundation, but really the bronzer and lip liner are my favorites. And so we encourage you guys to visit Juvia's Place and try out some of the shades there. Makeup is fun, you know. If that's another thing we learned from Dolly Parton. Have fun.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah, have fun. Last but not least, we have to do our motivational affirmation of the day. This is from my book, How to Win When Ish Happens. I wrote that in 2020 when things were crazy, and I was trying to figure out what is the difference between the people I know in my life that are super successful and the people that are struggling. And the only difference was the people that were super successful were people that believed in themselves and they did the necessary work to stay in that place. Today's affirmation is: my past circumstances and my present situation don't dictate the potential of my future. Again, my past circumstance and my present situation don't dictate the potential of my future. The quote that goes along with this affirmation is: before you can live, a part of you has to die. You have to let go of what could have been, how you should have acted, and what you wish you would have said differently. You have to accept that you can't change the past experiences, opinions of others at that moment in time, or outcomes from their choices or yours. When you finally recognize that truth, then you will understand the true meaning of forgiveness of yourself and others. From this point, you will finally be free. And that is by Shannon L. Adler. A lot of times people feel like, I think a lot of us, we gauge what we feel like we would be able to do based on where we're from, what those around us have done, and maybe mistakes that we've made in the past, right? Specifically, as you get to a certain age in life, you start feeling like, have I wasted my time? Will I still be able to do this based on where I am now? I'm X years old. I have this amount of time left. Do I have time? And my thing to you today is, the answer is you have time for whatever you believe about yourself. And that is the truth. Your past and your present don't dictate the potential of your future. So whatever is happening right now, whatever is in front of you, we know that the Bible says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So just because you haven't seen it, just because you're not in the position right now, if you have the faith to propel yourself there, it can happen. And I challenge you to get a copy of the book. I need to do some giveaways and give out some copies of How to Win When Ish Happens, because one thing we know about life is things will always happen. Always.
That's a fact.
Things will always happen that will throw us off. But if you stick to it, if you have faith, you believe, and you believe in yourself, and you trust God, I believe you can do the impossible.
Agreed, man. I agree 100% with that, what you're saying. That beautiful quote. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I got no more to add. That's it.
It was good.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, I'm excited about Friday. We finally get back with our boy.
Oh my goodness.
Jamal will be back on Friday.
Can't wait. Got so much to cover, so much news and sports we haven't touched in like weeks.
So much sports. I saw that Jamal was out at Chris Tucker's golf tournament.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's so much, just and then he sent us some nonprofit information on, I think, LeBron James. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So you guys get ready. Be back on Friday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. In LA. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, leave us a message. Let us know what you took from that. If you have memories of Dolly Parton or favorite memories of Dolly Parton, what is your favorite quote from the 5 Heartbeats? Let us know. We want to hear.
Yes, please go to Spotify and subscribe to the Reprint by Lenox and Parker. Find it, subscribe, tell your friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Go to the website, support our articles that's on there. Christal and Brenda write beautiful articles, Stone, beautiful articles. I mean, we have great content on there. Go to us, of course, our Instagram page, subscribe and follow. And, we thank you guys for really supporting us.
and interact with us. We want to hear.
Yeah, we want to hear.
Think. You have ideas,
Stories.
Stories. Please let us know. I think it's important. We've heard a lot of people lately have been talking about some of the things happening in the news that they don't feel like Black media is covering. And as you guys know, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're here talking about the stories that are affecting our communities and just affecting us as a people. We are focusing on just our experience as African Americans, but this is not exclusive to only African Americans. It's just our perspective, right? So it's through our lens and our vantage point, but it is inclusive to all. So we appreciate you guys so much. Please like this before you get out of here, and we will see you guys back here on Friday, noon sharp if you're on the East Coast, and of course 9 a.m. bright and early on the West Coast. We love you guys. We'll see you on Friday.
See you guys.